Hi everyone and welcome to Traditional Back Powder. Today we're going to take a look at the Bark River Kephart. Alright, so this is the Bark River Kephart. Let's get the specs out of the way. The knife is 8.8 inches long. The blade length is 4.17 inches long. The blade thickness is 0.082. Cutting edge is about 4.1 inches. The steel is made out of CPM 3V. The grind is convex, and the handle material is curly maple. All right, so let's take a look at the build quality of the knife. Looking at for tool marks, there are no tool marks. The finish is done very nicely. No deep scratches or anything off. And looking at the plunge grind, these are hand ground, so sometimes they could be very off, sometimes very close, and rarely perfect. But you know, if they're very close, that's about as good as you can expect, and that's not a problem. In this one, it's just a little off on this side, but not a big deal. It's within respectable means, and not a problem. So looking at the tip grind, it's done very well. It's very symmetrical. It's not off from one side to another, so that looks good over there. And looking at the transitions between metal and wood, I don't feel anything. Both bottom and the top, it all feels very good. So it was finished very well. The transitions on these pins, these are mosaic pins. You can feel just a little bit of a pattern there, and same thing on the other side, but it's not a big issue. They're not really way off or sticking out, and that wouldn't cause you any problems. The handle finish is done very well. I don't see any gaps in between the wood and the metal, and it does have a red liner, so there are no gaps, so everything is flush. So that's a good sign. And the spine itself it's 90 degrees, but it's not sharpened. And I tried it with a ferro rod, and it really didn't do very well. So if that's what you're hoping, at least with this particular copy, it's not going to do very well. And this is one of the only flaws that I saw on the knife. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on camera, but there's a tiny nick over here, a chip on the spine itself. So when you run your finger on it, you can probably hear it. Let me see if you can hear it. So there is a little chip over there. So not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about something like that, but it is there. And the overall finish of the knife, I would say it's very good. Bark River does usually a very exceptional knife with the finishes, and this is no exception. It's done very well. Now looking at the ergonomics, the handle fit is very nice. For me, the handle has plenty of room for four finger hold, so you can actually move back a little bit if you want to, or choke up and be forward on the guard. And it's also very comfortable since it doesn't have any ridges or finger grooves and no jimping. The feel is very comfortable, so handle fit is fantastic for me. I really like this type of simplicity where you don't feel any abnormalities on the handle. There's no finger choil, so that's not an issue, and no jimping. And like I said before, it is a 90-degree spine, but it's not sharp enough to really throw a spark. And if that's important to you, you have to remedy that yourself. But the ergonomics of the knife is really good. So it is also very light for the size of the knife. I think if we put the scale out here. I mean, the knife itself just weighs 3.7 ounces, and this is, for an 8.8 inch knife, get this out of the way. For an 8.8-inch knife, that is extremely light, and the reason is because of its stock. The stock is done very thinly at 0.082, and I think from what Bark River says on their website, they did it on purpose to mimic what was used back in the day by Kephart, that he would have used a knife very similar to this in as far as the dimensions of the blade, and it helps with the weight, and it really carries well. A very light knife and easy to handle, and since the blade is so thin, it is an excellent slicer. I mean, this thing just slices like a chef knife. So, if you want a knife that can slice, this is a great version of a Kephart. So this is the sheath that the knife came with. It's, typical Bark River type sheath where the leather is very high quality. This one is a little bit darker because I actually treated it with Ergonomics, and it actually does a nice job of protecting it. It actually made the leather look even nicer. So I darkened it a little bit, but that's not a problem, but it does look very nice. The quality of the sheath is very good, has a very good welt on it, and although it's not polished, but no big deal. And the thickness of the leather is very nice. It does have a drain hole, and the quality of the leather, it's superb. The Bark River puts out some great sheaths if you like leather, and this one is no exception. Knife rides in the sheath itself very nice. It's fairly deep, so you're not going to have a problem losing it. You can shake this thing and it's not going to come out. It's secure, and it actually has a system where you can actually pass the belt through here and it'll be sitting at an angle, or you can pass it straight through this slot and it'll be perpendicular. So overall, the knife sheath that they provide for this copy of a Kephart is very nice. So this is one of the versions of the Bark River Kephart. They make all kinds of different scales for it, and you can get very plain Jane ones or more elaborate ones with exotic woods. This is just curly maple, so it's not it's not really exotic, but it does add a nice touch to a period type knife. And on this particular one, we have the mosaic pins, and they're all different. Each one of them will be different, and the patterns are really cool. On this particular one, the way the pins are set up really stands out, and it makes the knife look pretty nice. I guess it a nice touch. So you do pay more for mosaic pins, and also the red liners. It's an addition to them, but it does give the knife a nice look, and I enjoy it. So looking at the pros and cons of the knife, I don't really have much to complain about. The knife is really nice. It's finished well. The materials that they use is really nice, and it is a very comfortable handle. It is a thin stock, and obviously you would know that coming into it, but so it's not going to be one of those heavy-duty survival knives. But it is a great knife, and it will it will serve as somebody out in the woods very well. And if you don't mind having a thin stock, this would be a great idea, because it makes it a very nice slicer, and it cuts down on the weight quite a bit. Carrying a knife that is under 4 ounces of this length, it's really a pleasure. And on top of that, having a modern steel like CPM 3V on an old style knife like this, a design that's been around for quite a long time, it's kind of a nice and different touch. As far as the cons go, I can't see any. I mean, the only con would be if you're just not into this type of knife, and you don't like a stock that's that thin. But that's not really a con, because that's the way this knife was designed, and you would know that coming in, if you're going to purchase the knife. For me, that's not a problem, because I would love to have something that's this big and this lightweight and be able to carry it on my hikes out there, it just makes it really pleasurable. So as far as cons, I don't really have anything to complain about this knife. So taking an overview of the knife, if you're looking for a knife that is a period style knife like a Kephart, and you would like to have something that has modern materials like CPM 3V, it's basically merging the old and the new, an old design that's been around for a long time with a modern steel. This would be a great copy to check out. I would definitely look into it because it is a very nice knife and definitely a good addition to a period style of knife if that is what you're looking for. So thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next time.